You know, it's a bad sign when WFAN's Mike Francesa from Mike's On pretty much breaks down what is wrong with the Academy Awards. Or would I say the people who are running it and the actors who seems to still want to press a political view, whether you agree with them or not. This is what many people call get woke, go broke. And this is what many people have been turned off by, not just in the Academy with the Oscars, but with pretty much anything to do with this kind of narrative that's going on in movies. I have not seen a film that has been successful with this same narrative and is now starting to affect the Oscars. Now, let me make one thing perfectly clear right off the bat. I don't think this is the worst Oscars in the world. I was actually kind of surprised that some of the films that won. I will actually make these announcements in a bit. I don't think it's any of the problems of the films winning. I don't think anybody has a problem of the films being nominated that won. I don't even think there's a problem of who won for Best Picture, although I can understand why people are a little bit scratching their heads because, again, you have a film that hardly anybody even knew existed. That's because it was a foreign film. But I think the most of we're getting out of this is one, the ratings, which was low. And to be fair, it has not gone up in over the last few years. It's been going down and down until we are now seeing what many people consider the lowest numbers in this show's existence. It has gotten 23.6 million views. That is the final tally of the ratings in an hour and 35-minute show. That is down from the 29 million they have gotten, which is also not good numbers. And it hasn't shown any sign of increasing. It's been decreasing year after year after year. And there's a lot of mixture of a lot of things. One, it is the political thing that's been going on. Everybody wants to make a political statement. Everybody wants to chime in on what's wrong with the world. And I feel that a lot of people, me myself included, is getting a little bit tired of it. And I'm getting a little bit annoyed by it. I can only say so much about this type of attitude. I think I made it be clear that the host of the Golden Globes had perfectly have made a statement, and I think the statement is well said, but I think those in Hollywood still feel the need to do this, whether it's from a quota from the studio or coming from their own heart. And I think people just turn off. People are saying, hey, listen, you guys are actors. Why don't you just do what you guys do best? Act, entertain, give us the reason to watch the show. We didn't came here to have someone's political narrative being shoved down our throats. We're here to be entertained. Please entertain. And they do have a good point, especially when, as I said over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, that there's a lot of people are hypocrites in this business. Those who believe, and then I'm talking about the elitist group, that their genre is the only genre that considered to be masterpiece. And people don't want to hear it anymore. People don't want to see it anymore. People don't want to see it in their films anymore. Films are being suffered by this. You have the Harley Quinns and the Bird of Prey movie, which recently has been changed because it was called Bird of Prey and the Macapation of Harley Quinn. I don't know what the hell the title was. It was a stupid title, but according to reports, they have actually went back and changed the title because they realized just how bad that title was. I believe they just call it now Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. It doesn't matter. The damage has been done. But all these films have one thing in common. They failed for a lot of reasons. And here's the thing. From what I've heard from so far, and I'm planning to see the film myself so I can give a fair assessment, the reviews were positive. Nobody had a problem with the film in terms of entertainment. They said it was fun, entertaining. It was a good little popcorn film. That's not the issue here. The issue is that you have a lot of media mobiles. You have a lot of people out there who are constantly playing this, if you didn't like this film, it's because you hate women, and that men are the reason to fail, and is a complete turnoff. It is a complete turnoff to me because as a man, I don't feel I'm obligated to watch any film. I'll judge where I will watch the film on a lot of characters. One, how the trailer looks. Two, what the film is trying to say. And three, if it's just appealing to me. Not because you're going to guilt me into seeing your film. That's not how it works. And that's the whole problem that I have with this whole entire thing going on with Hollywood. You know, if it's not trying to guilt you, it's trying to basically label you with something you're not. And people are just getting fed up by it. And unfortunately, the Academy Awards is feeling this brunt as well, because many people I've spoken to, many of the news outlets that covers this, especially those who can't stand how the entertainment world has been basically trying to push this narrative on every single genre of filmmaking. It's become to the point where people are clicking off the television sets, and it's unfortunate because a lot of these films are good films. I had no problem with the nominees of these films. There were some good films that deserved to be nominated. There were some good films, most of them that I see here deserve to win an award. And it's unfortunate that we can't talk about these movies as much as we're talking about the controversy and the statements like Brad Pitt made and Joaquin Phoenix made, and they are being looked at more in the microscope than actually celebrating great cinema entertainment. And the key word here is entertainment. But we can't do that now. We have to sit through a political speech about how the world is wrong and how we have to fix things and everything else. It's not good. It's just simply not good. It's not what people come to see. That's just the whole issue here that I got. That's the whole issue here that the Oscars are in right now. Now let me say one thing here. I don't have a problem with them having a host, even though, for what I understand, there was a few people who want to host the show. If they don't want to go with the host, then fine, don't go with the host. But you gotta have to have a platform, and you gotta have to set some ground rules. Some ground rules of keeping the, if anything else, is say, hey, look, you go up on the stage, accept the speech, make a few thank you things, but keep the political thing at a minimum, or don't say anything at all about the political climate, because people are tuning out. People are tuning out, and that shouldn't be the case. I have tremendous respect for cinema in a way. I love it. It got me out of trouble in more ways than you can possibly imagine. In the darkest times of my childhood, I went to the theater for escapism. In the 1989 to at least 1992, that was my escape from the horrors of life. And it wasn't a pretty thing. I went to the theaters. I see as many theaters, many movies that I can possibly can. This was a year where I saw Ghostbusters 2, My Stepmother's an Alien, films like Dance with Wolves, She-Devil, Where No Angels. It was my escapism, and I went to Manhattan all the time just to see a film. I have no regret of that, and it was one of the most great moments. I have fallen in love with cinema. When I reached that age where I can actually go to a movie by myself, those were the movies I went to, and I enjoyed it. Even films that I look back at and say, hey, it wasn't that good, they still hold a very special place in my heart. I can tell you right now, for these films that was nominated, for these films that have gotten huge praise, there's someone out there that said, hey, I had to, this film brought me some joy and entertainment where I really needed it. Gave me a laughter for at least an hour and 20 minutes to 2 hours. I didn't think about my troubles that much. I was enjoying the films. This is what entertainment is really all about: escapism and enjoying yourself, and just basically putting aside all the nonsense that is the real world, and for once just laughing, or just basically being in awe of the effects and the entertainment and the music that is the motion picture. And that's the thing I wish that Hollywood, especially these award shows, understand more. That's just my thing about it. I'm not gonna go on a whole entire rant because I don't believe that this was a complete waste of time. To that, it'd be unfair to those who have won the statues. It'd be unfair to these movies. Okay. I will say another thing is that a lot of the films that came out, and I think that was also played a factor into these movies. A lot of these movies, especially the best picture category, a good third of these films hardly anybody's seen. The film that won Best Picture was Parasite. It is a foreign film. Foreign films, in terms of commercial advertisement, is almost non-existent. You really have to go for word of mouth. You really have to look for these films. It's particularly on YouTube. You really have to see these trailers. I actually seen the trailer of Parasite, but I actually forgot about it. I didn't even know it was even released. And now that this film has won, I might want to give another look at it. I feel kind of ashamed that I didn't get this film a chance. That's why I'm not going to join that bandwagon and say this film didn't deserve it, or why this film was nominated for Best Picture when it won for Best International Film. Here's the thing, guys, and I said this before in no more occasion, I'll say it again. The category is Best Pictures. There is not Best Picture for Best Foreign Language. It's not Best Picture in a Drama or Comedy. It simply says Best Picture, which means any film could be in this category. If it was one of the best action films, one of the best animated films, or best foreign film, if that was the best of the best, it should be represented in the Best Picture category. And like I said, I don't know. It'd be unfair to me to say this film don't deserve it or not. I haven't seen the film, so to me, I can't say that this film don't deserve it. I can only say that after I see the film. And there was a lot of good films here. Ford vs. Ferrari, Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I felt, if you want my honest opinion, The Irishman I felt was Martin Scorsese's best work yet. But yet I actually kind of knew in my back of my head that it wasn't going to win for one reason. That's Netflix. And that's the same goes with the animated film that a lot of people already are screaming and yelling saying they got robbed, and that's I believe, what is it, Claws? This film, a lot of people was not happy this film didn't win, and it really ticked off a lot of people that Toy Story won, even though Toy Story was the strongest, minus Clemson, of the other films. And again, I think it has a lot to do with Netflix. I think that the elite don't want to recognize Netflix as a part of that clique just yet. I think it's wrong, but I think that they feel that this film, if it doesn't have a major theater release, they're not going to recognize it. They probably will nominate it, as they have been with a couple of Netflix films lately, but in terms of it actually getting that recognition of Best Picture, I think they're gonna have to do a little bit more breaking the wall before that ever happened. But again, regardless of what you may feel about that, the people who have won deserve to win. Let me just go down the list. Best Picture, of course you have. Let me go down the bottom list because I'll start from bottom to top. And this is the list here. Best Film Editing, Ford vs. Ferrari. Best Visual Effects, 1917. Best Makeup, Bombshell. Best Costume Design, Little Women. Best Production Design, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Best Cinematography, 1917. You have Best Sound Editing for Ferrari. Best Sound Mixing, 1917. So they pretty much split. This is the first time I've seen these two actually split the award. Very rare they do that. Sometimes they go hand in hand, at least for the last few years that I have known. Best Original Score, Joker have won out. Best Original Song, now Elton John for Rocket Man. You have Best Live Action Short Film, The Neighborhood Window. You have Best Animation Short Film, Here Love, Matthew A. Cherry. You have Best Documentary, American Factories. You have Best Documentary Short Subject, Learning to Skateboard in a War Zone If You're a Girl. You have Best Animated Feature, Toy Story 4. Best International Film, Parasite. You have Best Original Screenplay, Parasite. Best Adapted Screenplay, Jojo Rabbit. You have Best Supporting Actor, Brad Pitt. He won for that. Best Supporting Actress, Laura Dern, Marriage Story. Best Actor, Joaquin Phoenix and Joker. Best Actor, Renee Zellweger for Judy and Judy Garland. You have Best Director, which is I'm super positive if I say his name wrong, Bong Joon-ho for Parasite, and of course, Best Picture, Parasite. So those are the winners here. The film that got snubbed the most, obviously, was Irishman. The film that won the most was, of course, Parasite. That was at 4, followed by 1917 with 3, Ford versus Ferrari, Joker, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood round up with 2. The most nominations, of course, if you want to count that, was Joker with 11, Irishman, 1917, Once Upon a Time with 10, Jojo Rabbit, Little Women, Marriage Story, Parasite with 6. Ford for Ferrari was Stallone with 4. You have Bombshell, Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker, 2 people with 3. 2 was Harriet, Honeyland, Judy, Pains and Glory, and Toy Story 4. So there you have it from there. And for the most part, when I seen this list when I first saw it, I said, okay, this is pretty decent. But I will not be lying. It's a good portion of this. Like, here's the thing. Well, let's look at the Best Picture. And keep this in mind. I'm looking at Best Picture for a reason. People have seen and have talked about Ford versus Ferrari. Lots of people have talked about The Irishman. This was a $1 billion movie, Joker, so you know people have heard about it. And of course, this is a Quentin Tarantino film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. How many people have not seen or praised this film? But on top of all of that, how many people have actually seen, and also 1917, which had a very weird release date. It was released limited, very limited, and then it just recently, once the awards show was nominated, got a major release. So it was a very weird release, but people perhaps heard about it. There are people who are absolute fans of Sam Mendes. I actually think his work, definitely within the camera, is extraordinary. But on top of all of that, let's look at the other awards show. First of all, again, I already said about the Parasite. It is a South Korean film. That's what it is. And it was a foreign film. It wasn't. It has subtitles. I can tell you right now, not many people have heard about this film, and if it is, it's very few, and not many people have seen it. I have yet to see many reviews about this film, so I can tell you right now, hearing this film win Best Picture was a shock to a lot of people. Now, keep in mind, it's not the first foreign film to win Best Picture here, but it is one that's shocking a lot of people the most. Let's go to Jojo Rabbit, which did, by the way, had a lot of push. YouTube was promoting this to death. So there is that thing that was going on. But how many people actually paid tickets to see this film? How many people paid to see Little Women? Little Women came out and it had a quiet release. And it really did. It didn't really, blew up people's, people's interests. And that's largely because this story has been done to death countless times. Marriage Story, I didn't even know this film came out. I heard of it, I didn't know it came out. You see what I'm getting at here? There's a lot of films that even though they were some films that people heard, but there's a lot of films that people either didn't see or didn't heard of, and sometimes that do play a factor in the ratings. Not all the time, but sometimes that do play a factor in the ratings. Something that I think Hollywood should keep in mind when pushing for these films to get Best Picture. Like I said, don't have a problem with these films being in this list. If it's the best of the best, so be it. It's not my call to say, oh, this film does not do that. But to me, Adam Sandler's film should be in here. Adam Sandler should have been there as well. That would definitely bring more pop. But Adam Sandler doesn't fit the narrative in some of these writers, which disgusts me, that the fact that they will actually preview some of his past films against him for a reason not to actually nominate him for any of these awards here. It's sickening to see that. But that's the hypocrisy that continues to wreak its ugly head, and then they wonder why people don't want to tune in anymore, because you're doing that kind of nonsense. But the point what I'm trying to get here is that there's a good portion of these films that may really heard about it or just don't really care. It's not the film's fault. It really isn't. But you can't expect these guys to invest their time and energy for films they haven't seen. People were curious about Joker. People were curious about Once Upon a Time. People were curious about Ford and Ferrari and The Irishman. Other than that, there was really not much spark on anything else. So that's the one thing that I definitely feel that that has to change. Now, to their credit, I think they are changing in that direction. I think they are getting a little bit more diverse in terms of making sure that these films get recognized, and I think they have done a good job in the last few years. I'm not, taking anything away from that. I think they have pushed for in terms of the categories. I think they've gotten better and better. That's not a knock on them, but I feel that there are a lot of things that has to get worked on. One of the things they have to really address now is these political statements that is being made. Because a lot of people are not getting too happy about it. Even with Joaquin Phoenix, who I can understand from his perspective, and I'm gonna tell you right now, anyone who got the right to say anything is him. Because let me tell you, they tried to cancel him even before the movie came out because he starred in a movie that a lot of the so-called critics didn't want the film to come out, and had done everything they can to try and mark and blast this film and basically guilt people into not seeing it. So I understand where his speech was coming from. Now, when a person is seeing his work, to something he has worked hard for, and spent a year and a half putting to life, almost being ruined by a bunch of people who feels that this film is too, controversial to be released in theaters, to the point where there was actually petitioning and getting this film and blasting this film to the point where you had theaters not showing the film. You'd be pretty bitter too at the cancel culture. So that's exactly what they was trying to do. You'd be pretty bitter to the point where you don't want to give interviews, and you pretty much have a very bad taste and disdain against the media's mouth. And they're still doing it. They're still knocking this guy, all because he wouldn't give them the time of day. And you don't say there's no hypocrisy in Hollywood. Overall, I do agree with the criticism and some of the stuff here. They're saying that people are just fed up. But that's not just the Academy. It's unfair just to blast the Academy. It's the whole entire Hollywood environment in general. They feel that they have to be a spokesperson of what is righteous, and they shouldn't. Because, one, their whole business is a lie. It's hypocritical to even to think that you can actually tell me or anybody else, no matter whose side you're on, how to live their lives. You know how you want to show me something? Practice what you preach. And they keep showing these political messages, and it's not just the ceremony where they get their trophies and make a political statement. It's the movies. It's how they choose to promote the movies, and how they continue to turn people off by saying the film fell because of men. The film fell because, number one, man babies. They just can't stand the fact that we got this film for these women or this and that, or trying to show something that really doesn't mix with the overall film itself. There were a couple of films that made me angry by it. One of the most angriest insults was The Killing Joke, the Batman animated film. I loved the comic book. Couldn't wait to see the movie, and how ticked off I was to realize just how much they missed the ball. They spend a whole hour trying to preach to me, and then they contradict themselves, and then all of a sudden we got this, now they want to get to this film that really should have been the film the whole time, only now I got bad acting and, over the top animation movements that I'm like, really? Even in this? All because they want to make a political statement. They want to cram in an hour, almost an hour worth of political statement that they have no business being in it. Black Christmas, another prime example. Why are we making a political statement on something that really shouldn't be there? And then you act so surprised and so angry about the film failing because people don't come there to see that. They come there to be entertained. They come there for escapism. They want to escape from the reality of the real world. Simple as that. What happened with the ceremonies is one of the reasons why that comedian, the Golden Glove, said what he said, and he's right, really right, and they just don't seem to understand. Well, I'll tell you this, and it may not happen anytime soon. I don't think ABC's gonna cancel the show, but if they continue to drop, how much more are you gonna continue to do the same mistakes until ABC say, hey, listen, you need to do something fast, otherwise we can't justify losing these numbers. This is getting ridiculous. And I think they're going to do something because I think this is an embarrassment. They know people are listening. They know people are watching. And I think from a presented perspective, I think they're going to be some changes. I really do. With that being said, I don't think everything was bad about the war show. I really didn't. I just think they need some work. That's all. That's the best way I can describe it. It needs some work. I think these actors need to realize that you don't need to be an ambassador for righteousness. We didn't ask you to be that way. Just go out there. You know, we want to be entertained. Go out there, accept your award. Thank the people who made it possible. I think that would be good enough. I think everybody would be happy with that. I think people are getting turned off by the politicalness that's happening. It doesn't matter what side you're on. It really don't at this point. It's just getting fed up by it. I'd like to hear your opinion on it. I'd like to know what you're feeling on it. But overall, with that being said, congratulations to those who was nominated, and congratulations to those who have won. I was very happy that Quantine finished one. He deserved it. He earned it. Reese Witherspoon, which I really knew she was going to win. This was a big comeback year for her. I mean, she hadn't been in a major role in a long time, and for her to have this role and win it for a unique, playing a unique character who wasn't getting enough due in terms of entertainment history, says something. So I'm very happy for her. Very happy for Brad Pitt. I gotta admit, I did not expect Brad Pitt to win this. I really didn't. I'm being realistic. I thought it was gonna be. My heart was hoping for either Al Pacino or Joe Pesci. I was hoping that the studio will actually, pick the two. But Brad Pitt was a surprise. I think that's a good thing, and I'm actually happy for him. Other than that, again, congratulations to everybody. I think overall, mixed bag. I won't say it's a total waste of time, but it was a mixed bag. And I think that's all I can bestly say about that. Let's move on to some other stories that I want to talk about, because I do want to talk about other things here. Real quick, there has been an indictment. Jesse Smollett is been indicted by a special prosecutor. Pretty much in a statement very quickly that he is that they have proved that he knowingly lied when he told the police that he was attacked by a group of Trump supporters. When and how this is going to, when the case is going to go into trial, it's going to be something else. There still actually is a civil suit going on between the city and him. There are two things that we need to keep in mind of here. One, the mayor of Chicago is no longer in office, so that may or may not play a major factor. We'll see how that goes. The new mayor hasn't said anything about this. And two, the commissioner is no longer in office, so they got and that's expected. New mayor, new commissioner. He has his own boys, so that's kind of to be expected, changing the guard. But three, the original prosecutor is now hands off, which is something that's something that I'm actually kind of glad. So this special prosecutor is doing his thing. Took about a year, and this is going to go forward. Now, Jesse Smollett has not made any comments. I don't expect him to. I do expect him to have pretty much lawyer up big time for this. And again, I don't see him doing major prison time. So that was the big key here. When you heard that they were looking at 30 years in prison, I said, "There's no way they're gonna give him 30 years in prison. He didn't commit any serious. He committed a serious crime. At most, he'll probably get 1 year in prison, or to say the least, he will have parole and he have community service. I still think that's gonna be the same thing here. I think that he's gonna get at worst 1, maybe 2 years. That's stretching it. But he most likely will get parole. He most likely have to pay some for damages to the city for wasting their time, which they're still looking for anyway. And pretty much the strong case scenario, he will be on parole for a few years. But he may get. But the one thing that is definitely he is trying to avoid, and I think is understandable, is having that felony in his record, because that will forever tarnish any opportunity of a major role in Hollywood, at least for a while. So we'll see how that works out. We'll see if that's going to be the major factor. Or they tell them hotel because they are just building the case up, but that's the update that's happened. Again, not many news outlets have covered it. I was kind of surprised that NBC covered it, but it is been official. He has been officially been indicted by the special prosecutor. So we'll see how much that will stick. And again, this was a big deal because even the prosecutor who dropped the charges, we found a whole bunch of stuff that hint corruption and bias, because even the judge who basically criticized the prosecutor said, how can you, for a case that was similar to Smollett, and she was looking to pretty much throw the book at that person, and the judge said, how are you going to throw the book on this person when the same thing happened to Jason Smollett and you let him go? What that was sent to our justice system. So he threw it right back at her. So again, having the special prosecutor is very, very important in this, and hopefully we'll get to the bottom of what really happened in this story. Because again, he's saying that he has not, he was very truthful, but evidence as well as other stuff that everybody sees doesn't add up. Doesn't add up. I will say this though, it made it for a good Dave Chappelle skit. I think it's one of the funniest things he ever did, and that's the best way I can say it like that. So if anything else, it gave me one of his best work from Dave Chappelle in recent memory. EA, in case you guys have not heard yet, I've been keeping an eye on the gaming industry for a while, and even those who are not gamers, I think it's very important to understand what's been going on here. EA has been facing a lot of backlash for their loot boxes. They try to call it surprise mechanics, but everybody sees what that is. They're gambling devices. They're basically glorified gambling. It may not have to do with money, but you're basically, pouring in your own hard-earned cash to hope to get that next-rate player to build on something that will pretty much be obsolete within a year, which that's been their plan all along. There are laws now being thrown down from all across the country. U.S. hasn't gone through the process yet, but there is a slow process. And I think eventually, with enough people calling to arms, it will eventually get presented in Congress and in the Senate. And with bipartisan, that may be passed sooner than I think anything else get passed in our nice government these days. But nevertheless, there is a lot of backlash being done. There is even a lawsuit being done in some of the foreign countries in their manipulative practices. Maybe we're calling for these loot boxes to be considered as gambling, and regulations are being called by the government to make sure that they don't prey against young children. There has been reports flying all over the place about the effects of these loot boxes and how addictive they can be, and how people can spend their hard-earned money just like in the Flash. There have been reports of how easily kids can actually attain information from their parents to order to spend actual currencies to basically must get the player they think they're going to get. And as a result of this, parents, along with people in general, from all walks of life, are calling for some kind of new regulations to happen, because again, it is it is glorifying gambling. There's no way around it. They can call it anything they want. It is basically glorifying gambling. And the fact that publishers are refusing to regulate themselves, which we always hear from the so-called activists that they can regulate themselves. We can trust them to do the right thing. When you're dealing with people, when it comes to money and the corporation, they're going to choose the money. They're going to choose the grave train. They're going to choose their bottom line. This is why EA is fighting for it, because again, this is their bottom line. They have ran on such a poor quality of service for so long, and I'm going to call it like it is. It is. They have, done the bare bones minimum to charge you a $60 game that is not complete. And the only way you can complete it if you pay more money for characters that should already have been in the game to begin with, or characters like back in my days, I sound old, I know, used to be something of a hidden gem that you was honored by playing through the game and getting these hidden characters that was locked inside the game, that was already in the game that you pay for. Boy, those times has changed. And EA had led the charge for the most of it. These games are not complete on purpose. These games are not built to be completed. These games are meant to be broken for that purpose of you buying more stuff for that game. Just look at Fallout 76. Look at any sports games. Look at games that are not really games but services disguised as games. It's an ongoing thing. And the problem with it is that the gaming industry has gone through years of not being regulated. As close as they gotten to be regulated was actually when the whole incident with two games, Mortal Kombat and the other game, which has since been discontinued. It was on the Genesis CD system. I know it's going to come to me once I end this podcast. I just know it. But needless to say, these games drew controversy to the point where Congress got involved. And I knew that Sega was trying to fend off it by having a rating system, but that didn't work. In the end, the gaming industry finally came to a compromise and said, hey, look, we're going to rate ourselves. This is how we're going to do it. This is how they're going to be independent. And they came to agreement even with the retailers that no games will be sold unless they have a rating sticker on it. So that actually fended off Congress for a while. And to be fair, I have no problem with the rating system if it's used correctly. Like all rating system, it can be blackballed, meaning that politics can get in the way of games being sold. Like rated AO, I don't even know why they still have it. Get rid of it, because it's the way nobody wants the AO game unless it's like PC only. But AO games would never be sold in stores. They made it very clear, so why have it? It kind of defeats the purpose. But besides the point, I'm getting a little off track with the rating system. I can talk about that for a whole different video. The problem is with the ratings board, the electronic ratings board, is they're outdated. They haven't updated from the times. They're still running on a system that happened for 20 years. Games have changed. The way people play their games have changed. And the ratings board has to change with the time. When they defend saying that it's not gambling, and they have a rating system of gambling, which they do, it's on a system that doesn't include what we're seeing now. And I think a lot of people are upset by them because, number one, they feel that they are at the back pockets, which I don't think is too far from the truth, of the publishers. But most importantly, they don't seem to understand that the times have changed and you need to upgrade your system. And to be fair, they have to upgrade their system. And all you have to do is look at the movie industry. The movie industry have upgraded in the last 10 years. They have upgraded their rating system 10 times. It may not feel like it, but it has been upgraded 10 times. And I've sent men around to movie theaters that, hey, if you smoke twice in this theater movie or you say the F-bomb in this movie, you're getting the R automatically. We're not going to tolerate that. They have actually gave more information about the ratings that they didn't do during the 80s and early 90s. They basically telling you now, this film is PG because of mild language, comic violence, or sexual contact, or whatever. Now they're giving you a description of why this film is like that. Now, the ratings board for the electronics and gaming, they do have something similar, but it's not. But it's still in the age of the 1990s. It's still in the age of, that time period where the ratings board was new, where they were still testing the market. Keep in mind, back then the ratings, even there, was a little different. They haven't changed in over God knows how long. Keep in mind, this is where kids to adults was in existence, and early childhood, which technically still exists, actually existed. They don't use those. Most of those ratings have been extinct. They haven't even used those anymore. We all know what the ratings are. E. And then we also have a different E, which explains a mild comic mischief violence. Then you have T. Then you have M. And then you have AL. Those are the ones that they use the most. Now the problem is they haven't been updated. They haven't been updated in terms of what can be qualified as an A-rated game. It's hard to be an E-rated game. Can't really call yourself an E-rated game if you have mechanics designed to spend money in a children's game. It's no longer a children's game. You're asking that person who's normally going to be kids to spend money on something. It should not be any game. And that's where a lot of parents are getting a little upset about, because when they buy these games, when you see that label, it's supposed to be, okay, these games are safe for my kids. I don't have to worry about it. Now they have to double check to make sure that their kids don't spend any excess money or have access to their credit card account because they snuck in a mechanic that should not be in a kid's game in the first place. That's the problem. I know a lot of these game industries say it's the parents' responsibility. In many ways, they're right. They're absolutely right. The parents need to make sure they know what their kids are playing and know how if their kids are accessing anything that's supposed to be accessing. You get no argument with that. The argument is that as much as the parents are responsible for making sure the kids don't do anything that can be hurtful for them, as well as gain information that they're not supposed to get, or do something that's going to hurt the wallets, it is the gaming responsibility to not make it as simple as it is, and to make sure that the games are deemed safe for the kids to play without going for that nonsense. If it was not there to begin with, we wouldn't have this problem. It's there. And being that the gaming industry is, the publishers are not so hesitant to change their factors, then the only people who's going to change it is going to be the governments. And they're stepping in droves. I'll tell you right now, if the United States get involved, it's going to be a problem. And EA is trying everything they can not to let them pass any laws. And they're actually digging their own grave because they keep on trying to justify their manipulated practices, and that's been an issue. I have not bought a next-gen game because of where they was going from, because I refuse to pay any further than what I had paid for. I refuse to buy a game that I'm not really having full control over. If I bought the game, I expect to have a full-fledged game, not a broken game, not a game that I gotta go and download more stuff to make it more enjoyable or complete. But a game. I'm getting tired of these guys trying to control my gameplay, which that's what they are doing, or trying to manipulate me into buying more stuff, when really I should have just enjoy the game for what it is. Why do I have to grind for it? I should be playing the game in its entirety. Some of you guys may think I'm old. I'm in my 40s after all. But yeah, it gets me mad when I start seeing stuff like that. It really does. It's these kind of practices. And again, it's always the thing we always say, well, they have to make more money. $60 is not going to cover it. I just say, hey, make a better game. I guarantee people will buy it. I guarantee we'll make money. But them taking these kind of shortcuts for a short game never works. That's just my opinion. I like to hear what you have to say. I like to hear what you guys have to say about it. But to me, it's coming. I mentioned once upon a time on Twitter, I said, do you think we're going to be in another gaming crash? I think it's going to happen, because how many times people are going to be fed up with the same nonsense over and over again? You got WWE you know, 2K20, an absolute disaster. Absolute disaster. You have games who was either incomplete, not complete, and they're still trying to sell it as if this game was the next greatest thing in the world. Yet the game is broken. It's only a matter of time, guys. Only a matter of time. My final take on this, and I'm going to make it very quick and simple, is the Bird of Prey. As you guys may not have heard already, they may be changing the name. I think it's too late. I'll be honest with you. Again, I said this earlier in the Oscars. I got mad at reports that if you didn't go watch this film, you're just a woman hater. Honestly, I saw the trailer. It didn't appeal to me. Didn't mean I wasn't going to watch it. I said if I'm going to watch it, I'll probably bring my daughter with me to watch it. But then again, when I found it was rated R, I said, well, I can't do that now. But it didn't appeal to me. It just didn't. I was confused by it. And obviously many people was too. I'll just be honest right here. What hurt this film more than anything else, besides the fact that they continue to play this game of you're just hating the fact that there's a woman film, which is absolutely not true. The marketing was terrible. When I saw that poster and it said Bird of Prey, and I looked at Harley Quinn, I said, Harley Quinn is not a bird of prey. Where is the bird of prey? And why is this subtitle seem so goofy? Like, come on. I felt, why couldn't you just call Harley Quinn? If you would have said this with Harley Quinn, I think it would have had a better reception. People was confused by what they were saying. So I don't know if a name change is gonna be is gonna work. I know when I looked at the box office results, it did change the name. It's no longer Birds of Prey, the emancipation of one Harley Quinn. It is Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey. And I was like, I guess I didn't wait. So either, no matter how you see it, the damage was done. According to the IMDb I checked on, it made $70-something million internationally. As in terms of worldwide, it made $33 million here. I don't know how much it cost them to make, but it's definitely gonna make no $1 billion, and it probably will struggle to make $100 million. I don't see this not making any money back down the road. I just don't think it's gonna be in theaters. Which is unfortunate because I do like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I do. I'm not going to sit there and say she's bad. From what I've heard from even people who was a little bit on the total poem about this film, said that, hey, this was actually kind of fun to watch. Man and woman. My homegirl, Jotkin, enjoyed the film. Good for her. I'm actually happy she did. So there were people generally was positive about this film. The problem is that it didn't really do enough to draw others in. And largely because the marketing was not good for this film. It wasn't because men didn't want to see the film because of women. It wasn't because of all these nonsense that some of these reporters are making. It was just because it's bad marketing. I did not understand why they couldn't just say this is the Harley Quinn movie. It's called Harley Quinn. Why do you have to bring the Bird of Prey? For what I understand, Bird of Prey was barely in this film to begin with. You could have introduced the Bird of Prey as part of the film, if anything else. That would have been better. Alright, there's Harley Quinn, but no, wait, there's Birds of Prey are in here. Instead, you called about something and that it really had nothing to do with the film in general. Her Black Mass was kind of fun to watch, so if anything else. But no, I just think it was just bad marketing. I really do believe bad marketing hurt this film. But overall, those who did see the film said, hey, it was pretty good. I had fun with this film. It had some problems, but overall, I enjoyed it. This was a good popcorn film to watch. I enjoyed Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. She was fun. She was awesome. That's what I got. That's what I heard. So, take into account that the people who did see the film enjoyed it. Hopefully, if by miracle, the word of mouth from those audience will spread. Because that's what they need right now. You know what they don't need? People saying that man is the reason why film bomb, reason why that man hates to watch women's films. We don't need to hear that. What they should be doing is, hey, the ratings is very good. Keep pumping the film out. Maybe it will pick up. The last thing you want to do is alienate your fans even more. Don't do it. And that's it for this episode of Entertainment Roundup. A little bit low-key than usual. But I'd like to hear your opinion about this. Like I said, I'm going to keep in tab with the Jesse Smollett situation. I am kind of curious how that's going to play into it now, especially now that the mayor is no longer in Chicago. At least the mayor who wanted to basically continue to prosecute, and the police officer as well. So that will, believe me, that will play into to a role in this, and what the special prosecutor is going to do and how he's going to build this case. I will keep tabs on that very, very much. Just a quick side note for those who had asked me. Yes, I did saw Snoop Dogg's video, pretty much further explaining himself. What do I think about the apology? Really wasn't an apology. I'll be honest with you. He did say that he would never hurt a 7-year-old woman, but it didn't sound like he wanted to apologize. I think it sounded like he was more forced into it because, again, it was wrong. He must be real. There's no justification for that. I mean, you know, I know you're upset. I know you're angry. I know you're just basically enraged with what's going on. But threatening a woman and basically calling all kinds of names like that is not going. It makes you look bad. It doesn't make her look bad. Let's put it that way. And I felt that was out of line what he did. I made that be very clear in my in that video. I'm glad he did explain himself again, and you know, he did come out, but it's not as strong as I feel. Another thing I want to bring up with that whole thing before signing off is I'm seeing a lot of people saying this is a woman thing and a man thing, that black women should support their black man. That is not. I'm not gonna go there, because to me it was more about respecting the dead or respecting the families as they buried their loved ones. Alright, they just got a date that when he's going to be buried. This pretty much was indicated that the remains were exactly released to the family. I don't know if all of them was released at that same date, but I do know that there's going to be a service for him pretty much, I believe, 1-2 weeks from now. So there's that, and I just feel that people are trying to make it like, oh, this is a black man against a black woman or a black man. No, I'm not going to go there. This is more about, about the right, bringing something up at the right time, at the right moment, and showing the proper respect to a man that's passed away, and to understand that there are people grieving, and that bringing something out that has no relevance to anything that's going on right now in terms of Kobe Bryant makes no sense whatsoever, and they show the vindictive nature by bringing that stuff up. And that's the thing I want people to understand. It's nothing to do about black men, black women should support black man, or black man is being hypocritical, so they don't really support black women. I've seen some of these videos. I don't agree with that at all. This is more about respecting the family as they bury their loved ones, and that's pretty much it. That's how I'm gonna leave it at that, and that's how I'm gonna leave the show at that. Again, thank you very much for being a part of this. And if you guys have any comments or any feedback, I'd be more than honored to hear it. And if you have a story that you'd like me to cover down the road, do not hesitate to tell me. I do have one rule, that if you're going to give me an article to look at, it has to be consistent. Meaning that I can actually look at another article and back up the claim of what that says. There's too many articles out there that are not really news articles. They're opinionated blogs. And I've been trying to stay away from opinionated blogs forever, because again, their agendas is just all over the place. I want actual factual news, and that's something I want to be very clear on it, especially if I can back it up from other news outlets. But otherwise, if you guys want a suggestion, I'll be more than happy to hear it. I'll be more than happy to see it. I may put it as a separate video, or I may put it as a part of the Entertainment Roundup video as well. But until next time, this is J717. Take care, be safe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.